Hey there, welcome to lesson 4 of the BetterSax beginners course. Jay Metcalf here. In this lesson, we're going to learn a bunch of fingerings and notes on the saxophone to get you started. So far, we have learned how to set up the mouthpiece and read in lesson 1. In lesson 2, we learned how to make a good saxophone embouchure and get our first sounds. And in lesson 3, we learned proper posture, hand and finger position, and how to set up the instrument. If you haven't yet gone through those lessons, I recommend you do so now. You can find them all linked in the description below. For each note we're going to learn, I will show you here as well as in the on-screen fingering chart. If you haven't done so already, there's a link in the description below that you can visit to download the PDF guide that goes along with this course. In that guide is a fingering chart you can use for reference. We left off in the last lesson having learned our middle D, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and the octave key. When talking about fingerings, I'm referring to my index, middle, and ring finger as 1, 2, and 3 in the left hand, and then in the right hand, 1, 2, and 3. The left hand comes first because it's on top. Now you may notice that when you play a D on the saxophone, you're not getting the same note as when you play a D on a piano or a guitar. That's because the saxophone is a transposing instrument. You also may notice that when you play a D on an alto saxophone, you're not getting the same note as when you play a D on a tenor saxophone. That's because different saxophones transpose differently. Later on, watch my video about transposing for saxophones to learn more. For now, don't worry about it. Let's focus on one thing at a time. When demonstrating the fingerings, I'm going to play each note first on alto saxophone and then on tenor saxophone so that you can play along with either instrument. It's important to note that the fingerings and note names are identical on all saxophones. Notes in music follow the first 7 letters of the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. These correspond to the white keys on the piano. We already know D, so let's start with that one and then work our way down the alphabet backwards. The fingering for middle D is 1, 2, 3 in the left hand, 1, 2, 3 in the right hand, plus the octave key, which gets action by pivoting the tip of the thumb. Remember, take a deep breath, set your firm yet relaxed embouchure, then blow the note. You've got to use enough air to get a good sound, but you don't want to overblow either. I'm going to put on the metronome and hold each note out for 4 beats. When practicing this on your own, please feel free to play these notes for much longer if you can. Moving down the alphabet, our next note is C, which gets played with the middle finger in our left hand. When playing C or any other note with a lot of open keys, make sure your other fingers are resting lightly on the key pearls. You don't want your fingers flying up in the air like this. Check yourself in the mirror to make sure. Next note down the alphabet is B. B is played with our index finger or 1. Again, make sure your other fingers are resting lightly on the key pearls and that your hands stay relaxed. Moving along, the next note is A. Now things get a lot simpler. We're just going to be adding one finger at a time. So we're going to add our middle finger or 2 in the left hand. Remember to take deep breaths before each note and don't bite down on the reed. Now we've come to the end of our 7-letter alphabet. So when we go down from the note A, we get G. To play G, we add another finger in our left hand. So the fingering for G is 1, 2, 3. Check your posture periodically in the mirror to make sure that you're not tensing up. As our notes get lower on the instrument, the amount of air required to play them increases. So you may find it increasingly more difficult to play these notes for as long. So be sure to be filling up your air tank with a nice deep breath before you play each note. Our next note is F, as I'm sure you guessed. And to play it, we're just going to add one finger in our right hand, our first finger. So the fingering for F is 1, 2, 3, 1. Take a deep breath. Be mindful of your posture and finger position. Set your firm yet relaxed embouchure and blow. Next note, as I'm sure you expected, is E. Add one more finger in your right hand, so our fingering for E is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that brings us back to D. If we add one more finger in our right hand, we get almost the same fingering as our first note, middle D. This note is called low D because it's lower. It's an octave lower, in fact. And hence the reason why we call this the octave key. It's really quite amazing. When you press the octave key, it makes whatever note you're playing jump up an octave. This is one of the reasons why the saxophone is such a well-designed instrument. In fact, the saxophone is the only instrument in the band or orchestra that has an octave key. In case you don't know, an octave is the distance between two notes that share the same name. So from my low D to middle D, the distance or interval is an octave. And on the saxophone, by adding the octave key, my low D jumps back up to where we started, middle D. And I know you've probably figured this out already, but that same trick works for all the other notes we've learned so far. So let's play them. Starting with D with the octave key, or middle D, we're going to play our way back up the alphabet. For all of these notes, the fingering will remain the same, except we're going to add the octave key. Next note up the alphabet is middle E, and middle E is played 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, plus the octave key. Lifting one finger, we get middle F, 1, 2, 3, 1, plus the octave key. Lifting up another finger, we get G, 1, 2, 3, plus the octave key. Now, as our notes start to get higher up on the instrument, there is a natural tendency to tighten up our embouchure and kind of bite down on the reed. Your embouchure muscles probably already feel a bit tired from all this playing, and that's the root cause of this tightening up. So please take a short break if you need to. Also, at any time, if you start to feel a little lightheaded, take a break. This is normal. You're probably not used to taking all these deep breaths one right after another. As our notes get higher, I want you to resist the urge to tighten up and bite down on the reed. Try to let your air do the work of producing the sound instead. Our next note is high A, the same fingering as low A, 1, 2, plus the octave key. Now for high B, 1 plus the octave key, lift up your middle finger. Be sure to keep all your other fingers resting lightly on their key pearls. And finally, our last note for this lesson, high C, which is our middle finger in the left hand, or 2 plus the octave key. Now, don't worry if you didn't manage to get all of these notes out the first time with a great sound. Feel free to go back and watch this video and play along with this video as many times as you want. I want you to take some time practicing just holding out all of these notes. In the beginning, your embouchure muscles are going to tire quickly, so take breaks. Over time, you're going to build up strength and your sound and endurance will improve. There are lots of other notes on the saxophone, like take all the black keys from the piano, for example. There's also some higher and lower notes that I haven't shown you. The fingerings to all of these can be found in the PDF download linked in the description below. But believe it or not, with the notes I've shown you so far, you already have enough to start taking another free course that I offer. It's called the Play Sax by Ear Crash Course. And if you're feeling ready, I invite you to enroll in that course next. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, I just started playing. I'm a total beginner. How could I be ready to play sax by ear? Now, while I know this course can be somewhat challenging for total beginners, you'll be amazed at how manageable it actually is and how much progress you can make in 1 week. The link to enroll in the Play Sax by Ear Crash Course can also be found in the description below, and I recommend you continue your studies with that as well as some of my other videos here on the YouTube channel. As you advance and you're looking for more learning resources, I'm sure you will find the courses for sale on my website, BetterSax.com. Very helpful and a lot of fun to work through. Please leave your comments below and let me know if you found this beginner's course helpful. If you did, of course, click the thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thank you for going through this course with me. I really hope it helps you get started playing the saxophone on the right foot. In the future, I'll be adding more lessons to this course, and as they're available, I will add them to the playlist and link them in the description below. So see you soon in another Better Sax video.